It's one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen.
She was severely physically abused by her mother. She had also been sexually abused by the mother's boyfriend.
At a very early age, around 6 years old, he started showing signs of being feminine, and so his punishment was he wasn't allowed to eat at the table with the family. They tried beating that out of him.
She was once again brought into the system due to severe physical abuse.
Angry, distrustful, defiant, violent. The group home that she had been staying with no longer felt that they could help her. You know, you can't change the world, but you can maybe take one little piece of it and try and make a difference. So long as she wants me in her life, I'll be there.
Most of our kids have gone through significant amounts of trauma, not only with their parents, but in the foster care system. A lot of times they have been through so much difficulty that has built them strength. So at this point, what a lot of these kids need is somebody to point that out to them consistently. Not as a blip in a video, not as a statement in a book, not as one person who's in and out of their life in a day, but somebody who can consistently tell them this, somebody that they can trust, that can help them build that self-esteem and show that what they've been through is difficult, but it can be a gift.
There is an emergency in our community. It is heartbreaking, yet often unseen. These three CASAs are in the middle of it, and despite the setbacks, are not about to walk away from their commitment to a child.
One of the grandmothers, while she was in her care, left her unsupervised with older males. And I believe that probably from the time she was maybe 2.5 to 3 years old, she had been sexually abused. The other grandmother, at one point in her life, when this young lady was actually 12.5 years old and prostituting herself, the other grandmother was aware of that, did nothing to stop or intervene, and I believe also participated in the profits. The baby was taken from her within 72 hours after her having given birth.
Angela is a little girl who's 11 years old and has had over 23 different placements. If you think about that, that's a new home every 6 months. Now that doesn't mean just a new physical home every 6 months. That's a new family every 6 months. So when Angela was just a few years old, in the middle of the night, she was having a nightmare. And Angela stood up on her bed and didn't call out, "Mommy, Mommy." She just stood up and screamed and yelled, "Somebody, help!"
The grandfather in this family molested each one of his daughters, who then they went on to marry molesters and abusers, who then abused those children, and by the time we put 2 and 2 together, the children were molesting some of the other children. These kids get these messages that it's okay because it just keeps happening and nobody tells them it's not okay. He wasn't even sure he had been abused. He just knew he didn't want to go back there because to him that's just what happened to kids. And it just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going.
I'm standing in juvenile court in the file room, where there are thousands and thousands of files which contain the stories of children who have been abused, who are living lives of horror and tragedy, childhoods that nobody should have to live. And these children, some of them, are fortunate enough to have a CASA from Voices for Children, a court-appointed special advocate volunteer who gets to know them on a very personal level and comes into court to provide up-to-date information to judges who are making life-altering decisions for these children. Our society is raising these children. They are our responsibility, and each foster child deserves to have a caring CASA by their side as they go through this very scary process.
This is Raymond's CASA, Pam. When he was 10 years old, he was declared mentally incompetent and psychotic by his own parents when he demonstrated feminine behavior. They insisted on medication to eradicate this evil in him. Finally, they took legal action to eliminate him from their family.
Raymond started talking about what it feels like to be a gay child, and more so what it felt like to be a gay black child. And he almost appeared that he was testing me to see if that was okay with me. You know what I taught him? I taught him that, you know what, just do you, be you. I have unconditional feelings for you. And eventually that changed into unconditional love for him. When I finally told him after about 3.5 years that I loved him, he told me I was the only person that has ever told him that they loved him. He had never heard that before. And so he told me at that point that he loved me back.
When Luis and Sean were 9 and 6, they were abandoned by their mother one night in a park. They spent 4 years in foster care with a CASA who assisted their teacher Debbie in adopting them. Theirs is a positive, new beginning.
It was amazing to me how the judge listened to Art, their CASA, that he had the ear of the courts. And he chopped off probably about 4 or 5 months of the process so that once he got involved, it was almost immediate that they were placed with me.
He was just one of those people that we will never forget. The first moment he walked into our house, it's just every single part of that is just detailed, because it's one of those things you don't ever want to forget and you're never gonna forget, because he makes such an impact in all of our lives. My mom's, my brother's. Art is the biggest part of my life.